Hello YouTube, today we're going to review this puppy and answer the question whether or not you should get this one or something else.
Let's go!
So, to start off with the basics, this mouse weighs 60 grams. It's the Razer Viper V2 Pro. Pretty good build quality. I have had no real issues. Besides like some side play on the right one. The left trigger has some slight side play. And the right one has a bit more, but it's not notable when gaming. It's only notable when I really wiggle from side to side. Otherwise, I don't notice it. So yeah, build quality and weight, top tier. Let's continue talking about the shape. The shape is an FK-like shape. It's narrow towards the middle and it's still pretty wide towards the front and the back, so I don't think this mouse is so as narrow. Yeah, you also have some comfort grooves, you also have USB-C, but that's a topic for later. And yeah, overall this mouse's shape is pretty flat, way more flat than the GPX. It's really like an FK1 competitor, I would say. This mouse is also somewhat long. It's not as long as a GPX, but almost as long. And yeah, like besides on the grip width, it's also sort of wide, but it's still narrower than a GPX. Yeah, the scroll wheel is pretty fucking good in my opinion. It's pretty tactile, not too light, not too heavy to scroll. You can also easily click it in. There were some complaints that it was crooked on theirs. Mine's pretty centered, I would say, and so yeah, that's a non-issue for me. The clicks are pretty fucking good on this mouse. They are optical V3s and I feel satisfying to click. They're pretty I would say sort of similar to KLG 8.0s. Not as tactile, I would say. Like real mechanical KLG 8.0s are way more tactile, but this one is still pretty tactile, not as mushy as the V1s. And yeah, it has the tactility of the V2s, but even more tactile and satisfying to press. So these are my favorite optical clicks so far. Nobody has as good optical clicks as Razer at the moment. Similar story about the side buttons, but they are not the best. They are small, but they're still big enough to easily press them if you want to. They are way more protruded than on the original Viper Ultimate. And yeah, I really like the side buttons. They are not as good as, let's say, Vexy side buttons because they are just goated. Like they're so no post, no pre-travel. Fucking satisfying AF. And these are pretty good. Not as good though. Yeah, then on the bottom we can see the feet. They are pretty decent. I think I might still swap them out for core pads later down the line though. Whenever they do come out, because core pad skates are better, or Tiger Eyes, or whatever comes out first. I might just go with that. I'm not sure if you can swap them out with the Death of the V2 Pro skates. I don't think so. But they are pretty similar in shape as far as I know. You also on the bottom have the DPI button. And yeah, the feet are overall pretty controlled. So it could be that the mouse feet are simply slower than core pads and whatever, because the mice are so light, so they don't want to make the casual audiences believe that this mouse is uncontrollable, so they just make it more controllable, and any enthusiast can simply just swap them out. What I think about they should add in the box though was a second pair of feet, simply because like a lot of companies are already doing it and it's not gonna cost them anymore, especially on a €160 mouse or $150. That's, yeah. There's also a DPI button on the top. It's honestly pretty usable. I myself like it, and it also functions as a power button, so you press it 3 seconds to turn it on and 3 seconds to turn it off. You press it just simply once to change DPI. Yeah, and you can't remap it as far as I know. I haven't really found that in Synapse. Last but not least, let's talk about the sensor and the battery life. The sensor is the Razer Focus Pro, or the Razer exclusive PixArt 3950. The sensor is extremely good. Like it's phenomenal. Like a lot of features. You can change the LOD in the software or just leave it on smart tracking. And yeah, like a lot of people also complain about like, yeah, you don't feel the difference. Like, yeah, definitely you don't feel a big difference, because instead of a 3370 or compared to this one, like, yeah, there is not a big difference, but simply by making those high-end sensors even more high-end, the previous gen sensors will become way more accessible. Like the 3370 is getting more and more cheaper and getting phased out by the 3395, and the 3370 is way cheaper and more accessible nowadays, and it was like a year ago. So like I just want to mention that, because yeah, you don't feel the difference, but you will feel the difference in the cheaper mouse. Not saying this is a cheap mouse, but on your sub 50 mouse. That's why the G305 is such a phenomenal mouse, because of the hero sensor. It's phenomenal. Anyways, let's get back to this mouse and talk about its battery life. The battery life is pretty good in my opinion. I have used this mouse for roughly 2 weeks I haven't charged it, nothing, and it's on about 30% right now. So in my opinion, it's pretty good. Like, maybe not as good as a hero sensor or something, or as a GPX, but I've heard a lot of people say this battery life is trash or something. Like, in my opinion, it's pretty fucking good. And I used it pretty much every day, pretty much extensively. So yeah, I'm very satisfied with the battery life. And how the fuck did I get to talk about the wireless tech and the coating? Two very important things. The wireless tech in this mouse is absolutely phenomenal. They're using the Nordic chips and this is wow. I can't really put it into words. It's phenomenal. You don't really feel any difference in wireless, and this adapter also keeps it very close. And yeah, talk about the coating. It's pretty fucking good in my opinion. Like, some people might prefer other coating, but I really love this coating. It's very matte coating. It's not as plasticky as a GPX or a Zowie coating. It's also not as magnetic. And after these 2 weeks, there also hasn't really been any discoloration. And keep in mind that the white one is going to be 1 gram heavier because of the paint and the UV coating. Because if you don't put on the UV coating on your white peripherals as a manufacturer, they're going to turn beige, like your old school wheel mouse opticals and telemouse explorers, etc. It's simply due to discoloring and sunlight. After some time it gets bleached out, I'd say. And there are grip tapes in the box. So yeah, last but not least, let's talk about the two elephants in the room. They took away a lot of features like the dock or the RGB or the side buttons on the right side. Like, really can't satisfy everybody, because like a lot of people were sort of complaining more or less about the Vibe Ultimate, because it had the right side, but it had side buttons on the right side, and the side buttons were way less protruded, simply because you might accidentally click them if you make them protrude further. And the weight and whatnot, and micro USB, and they improved the micro USB, they improved the weight, they removed the side buttons, and now people are complaining that they are removing features. The only thing I can see people complaining about is the dock, because the dock is pretty useful, but it also, according to the internet, it had some issues after a certain amount of time. So I see why they removed it, and maybe it's coming back in a future generation due to improved development or something. But I don't really mind, to be honest. Battery life is definitely good enough. last but not least, let's talk about the price. The price is, as I already mentioned, 160 fucking euros. At this price, I can't really recommend you to buy this mouse, simply because it's hella expensive for one gaming mouse. But what I can say is this mouse is incredible, and especially if you like the shape. What I really like the shape, especially for games like Overwatch. This mouse is phenomenal, and I haven't really played a lot of Valorant recently, so I can't really argument on that, but it's still pretty phenomenal shape, and I really like it. If you don't want to spend 160 euros, $150, maybe wait a few months or get the Viper Ultimate, because the shape is the same and you can mod it. So yeah, that's that. I really hope you enjoyed this longer review, and yeah, leave a like and a thumbs up down below. If you have any questions left, leave them also in the comment section. Anyways, stay home, stay safe.